You called down the thunder, well now you got it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the law's coming! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing the most decorated program in the history of sport, the Oklahoma State Cowboys Wrestling program. Today, we are joined by another great guest, the one and only Nick Goldstein, the athletic trainer extraordinaire, who is definitely part of the corner, part of the team, made that very well known this past season as a fixture in almost every shot that you can find of every big moment for the season. So, Nick, thanks for coming back on. Really excited to talk to you again.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
So, for folks that may not know who you are or what your background is, could you just give us a brief refresher on where you're from? What brought you to Stillwater and how you got so plugged into Cowboy Wrestling?
Yeah, so my name is Nick Goldstein. I'm the athletic trainer, so I'm pretty much in charge of getting everybody back on the mat, getting them healthy, kind of working through if we get surgeries, pretty much just trying to keep our guys healthy, ready to go. I'm from Colorado originally. I did my undergrad at University of Northern Colorado, and then I originally came here for grad school. Originally worked with track and field and came in during the COVID year. And during that time, we had our wrestling athletic trainer leave. So they were looking to kind of just have somebody. He left right before the postseason. Just kind of had a job lined up that he needed to leave ASAP for and that he had to take. And so they need somebody to kind of cover them in the process. So since I had some wrestling experience at Northern Colorado and got to work with Troy Nickerson as a student, I was able to take that over, and it was really just a good fit from the start. John and I got along really well. The guys really liked me, and then we ended up having a really good tournament. So instead of looking to go through a hiring process, John was pretty content and said, "This is my guy." So I finished my grad school, got hired full time, and I've been here ever since.
Amazing. So, and then just what drew you to athletic training in the first place? And
so I kind of have a typical story of I played sports in high school. I got hurt. I had to work with an athletic trainer, and I always wanted to do something in sports. I knew I was probably never going to be a college athlete. I didn't really want to do any JUCO, D2, D3. I knew I probably wasn't going to be going into a professional sport. I played football. And so I was trying to look for something that kept me involved with sports. That had been a big part of my life. I've always enjoyed watching sports, playing, and just absorbing myself with it. So this was kind of a good blend of getting to be involved with sports, but another interest in the human body. Took an anatomy class in high school and really liked it. So that was kind of the perfect blend of getting to not only do something that's intriguing of looking at injuries, the human body, and how does that process work and how do you get better from that, but also on the other side, getting to stay involved with sports and be a part of a sports team and get to work, go on the road, get to basically watch dual meets, matches, games for free, be on the sideline and still get to enjoy all those things as well.
Amazing. So with all of that, you've been at Oklahoma State now for a few years, been big part of the wrestling program since the turnover that happened just with the previous athletic trainer moving on and you taking that spot. Last summer we discussed, basically right after it had happened, the change in leadership within the program, going from John Smith and David Taylor. Now a year in, with all the new energy, all the different results that have come into place, and now everybody really coming into their own on this joint effort, how much has that impacted your role or the overall approach that you have to training, recovery, etc.?
It's definitely a little different. There are some very similar things. John and David are very competitive, and they want to win. And that is something that I noticed throughout this last season of they have the same drive. There might be a little bit of a difference in how they go into motivating the guys and also kind of how they did that. John was very much training as if the guys are one of him and was very big on being tough and working your butt off. And just always looking to excel yourself to the next level. And David's a little more athlete centric, letting the guys kind of have some say in what they do. And if they're not feeling good today, being able to vocalize that. And also that's kind of translated over into injury management as well a little bit. John was very big on we're Cowboys, we're tough, we're going to work through things. So a lot of injuries, if they were safe to do, we were looking to kind of get them ready as soon as we can. Now it's a little bit more different of getting feedback from the guys. How are they feeling? If they're not feeling 100% confident, we're okay with missing a match, and we're looking towards the long-term goal of of looking at the national tournament, being ready for that. So that's kind of changed a little bit of how to redirect my mindset initially of something would happen. I would tell David I'd get him ready, and then maybe taking a step back, say, okay, do we need to get him ready? Is this really important if they wrestle a dual meet against Air Force this week? Or is it more important that we get them ready for Vegas? Or if it's something like that, kind of using that to our advantage a little bit to decide what's going to be best for the athlete, what's going to get them through the season with the best result, and understanding the injury and being able to communicate with David, who's also been very knowledgeable on injuries and recovery times on what's going to be the best to get them to March, healthy, ready to go, no lingering, no taping, no assistance of needing medicine or something like that to get through what's going to get them to be the best they can. And that was David's philosophy from the minute that he came in. He said, we'll be our best at March. We're going to train in preparation to be our best at March. And that's gone into the injury side as well. So that's been different because it's a little more of a modern thinking compared to John, which has been good. I think learning how to kind of have to push some guys and how to navigate some of those situations, maybe be a better athletic trainer overall, because when we need to, if it's the week of Big 12s and something happened and we got to get them ready, I know how to do it, but also being able to take that step back and recognize like we have time and be able to do what's going to get them better for the long term and not worry about getting them ready that week has been also really good as well. So I feel like it kind of set me up to be in a better place for managing injuries with that experience, now being able to kind of take a step back, be a little more conservative with some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point on having the experience of needing to get a guy ready for, next week or 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
If something potentially catastrophic happens, right? I mean, it's just something that has to happen in wrestling. It's not an Oklahoma State specific thing or a John Smith specific thing. It happens across the country every year. We hear about some guy, who's a top 5 guy and, tears something in the conference tournament or in one of the last duels. So, but with that, I mean, you could really tell a difference with this team. They definitely hit a lull. The schedule got significantly more difficult in February. That's not to say, I mean, obviously you had North Carolina State, Virginia Tech in the fall and early January. But with the Northern Iowa State, like with those more difficult duels that came along, some of those teams closed the gap between Virginia Tech and North Carolina State there, in spite of those teams being, top 10 programs. So it was interesting to kind of watch it all play out in real time, because then they hit the upswing again for Big 12s and NCAAs, where it seemed like pretty well all of our guys were firing on all cylinders. You didn't see some of the guys that had struggled with injury in the past having the same kind of problems that had popped up. So I think that's a good credit to the philosophy, and then to you being able to get guys in a place where they felt good and were wrestling well.
Yeah.
Well, have there been any big advances in recovery or sports science or anything in the past, couple of years since you've been working with these guys that has been
So I've done a lot just as I kind of transitioned my career to wrestling. And so we have our that Human Performance Institute, Lance Walker, working with him a little bit he sends me pretty often a lot of new research. There's one that just came out this year that talked about weight cutting strategies, and it goes through all of them, legal or not illegal. And it was a really good resource to kind of look at, to kind of understand what's happening when the athletes are doing those. So whether it's freestyle season, sauna's legal and they're doing that, what's happening? If they're not able to use the sauna, what are some other strategies and how does that affect them? And looking at being able to kind of fine tune that a little bit. I think some guys don't have any issues with it, but for the guys that struggle or they have issues with being able to have self-control and do the things and not try and cut corners, it was a really good resource to be able to sit down with them and show them kind of some of the scientific processes that are happening and help them understand, like, this is what's happening to your body when you do this. So that's been one big thing. Just in what's also working with our nutritionist, getting her more involved in kind of changing what we have available in the locker room for the guys. Their post weigh-in meals has been altered, which has been really good. And also David's huge on recovery. So we bought a hyperbaric chamber this year, which has been huge, and the guys have used that tremendously. We got a shockwave unit donated to us, which is it's basically a unit that allows me to kind of accelerate the healing process, kind of get rid of a lot of the first couple days of inflammation and pain that you got to work through, and be able to kind of kickstart that into getting into more of the actual getting the tissue to heal and scar down and kind of move that. So that's helped me a lot, getting guys recovering quicker in that angle. And then red light therapy is another one we've added. So we have basically a room in the locker room now that's an entire recovery unit. We have a chiropractor that comes down once a week. We have a massage therapist that comes down in that room. We have the hyperbaric chamber. They have basically access to this, no different than the cold tubs in the training room, pretty much 24/7 as they need to really recover the best they can. And that's been David's philosophy, is when we have an off day, you need to be using those things, getting your recovery and making sure your body's ready. When you have those opportunities, take them. If you're not feeling great, communicate, talk to me, talk to Coach Taylor. We'll make a game plan and we'll kind of do those things so that you can get recovery and be ready to go. So those things, and having the resources of Coach Taylor to help get those things done, has been a game changer for sure. I've definitely seen, I think this year was definitely the lowest injury rate I've had this year. For sure the lowest surgeries I've had at the end of the season. I think a lot of that goes into how much we've pushed teaching guys how to take care of themselves. And instead of being in here because they're hurt and they have to be in here so I can get them ready, it's now come in here, do the things that are going to keep you healthy, keep you ready to go, keep your body recovered, eat the right way, and you're not going to have to see me for those other things. And that's definitely been a game changer, I think, for sure, that we've really pushed and we've seen the results from.
Yeah, so D. Lockett kind of, and having Dayton Fix on the podcast and some of the other folks that have come on, they've allowed us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain and how some of the things have changed as far as lifestyle management and recovery management, and then diet. Having check-ins. What did you eat today? What are you, that kind of thing. How much is having that kind of oversight been a big help for? Because you mentioned, like, hey, we got an off day, but that means you need to go take care of your body. It's not just go goof around and play video games or go down to the strip or whatever. Like you've got a job. But would like to hear from your perspective a little bit more on how that additional oversight has been helpful for your job.
It's been very helpful. I think what's unique about wrestling in specific is you have the weight component. So depending on understanding who's cutting weight, how much are they cutting? Are they a struggler, or are they a guy that doesn't have a lot of issues? That plays a role with injuries. If a guy's starving themselves, dehydrated, and they're working their butt off to get as much water weight as they can by the end of the week to make weight, that's going to play a role in what's available for their body for recovery. So if you're starving yourself, you're not getting energy back to your muscles to recover. If you're dehydrated, that's less water that's going to the muscles. And if that kind of compounds over time and you're not on top of it and doing things proactively to enhance the recovery, that can lead to some injuries. So being able to identify that, and then kind of having the athletes also, I'm really big on having them tell me how they're feeling, listen to their body, and not being afraid to speak up. I think sometimes there's obviously a fear of, I don't want to come off as I'm being soft, or like that I'm trying to get out of something, but being able to vocalize that and say something proactively, we can address it immediately and get on top of it and get them in a good spot. So that's definitely been a huge game changer, because I think nutrition plays a tremendous role in not only injury prevention, but also injury healing, recovery time from that perspective as well. So knowing that stuff is, I think, essential and critical in order to be able to do my job and get guys back in a timely fashion.
So last year we touched on this as well, on the way that the guys would come to you for certain things, and felt that they were able to have a bit of a different voice with you than they did with their coaches, which makes a ton of sense because you just have a different relationship. How much support of their overall well-being has some of these changes? How has that affected some of these guys? And have you been able to kind of see and I guess experience some of their growth in this past year from being like, yes, an extreme high level athlete who's taking care of certain things to now it's like, okay, well now I'm becoming a more of a grown up, or I'm getting
Yeah.
some support that I didn't necessarily have, or that some things that are kind of changing for them just as people.
So yeah, I do think a lot of them, especially on the injury side, I do play a little bit of a role in kind of counseling them through it, whether it's a significant injury and they're going to miss a long period of time, or whether it's something happens that maybe isn't a huge deal, but maybe it costs them a match in the duel because they got hurt, or they feel something and it's, oh crap, we got a huge dual meet next week. I don't know, I'm going to be ready, or hey, we have Big 12s coming up. There's definitely, I think, a little bit of a role that I play in trying to counsel them through it. And I think positivity is a huge thing. They're the ones that are feeling down on themselves. They're upset. They're not in a good place, and being able to kind of be there to support them, uplift them, and kind of let them know, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to do the right things, reminding them what they have. And then also, on the other side of it, we do have a performance counselor that's on our staff that helps a lot with the other side of it. So whether that's a guy that really struggles with anxiety before a match, they're not feeling like they get nervous, they feel like that's impacting their performance, it's causing their heart rate to spike, and it's causing some stuff that's affecting how they're able to perform, or if it's just overall anxiety, or even just outside of wrestling, whether it's school issues, family issues, personal issues. We have somebody there that specifically works with that, and they've done a great job. Their name's Kevin Andrews. That he's done a fantastic job being able to work with the guys through that. There's been a few athletes over the years that I would say really struggled in the beginning, that struggled with performance anxiety, and you can see just as they've worked through it and worked through with them, you could see that change as they wrestle. They became more confident. They became more belief of what they can do, and that would translate into having more successful matches, being able to stretch out the score, being able to get a major, not looking at the scoreboard, freaking out, thinking, oh, I'm up by 6 points, I need to hold this lead. And then they start spinning, and you see, next thing you know, they're losing the match. You're able to kind of see them go out there, wrestle. As Jimmy and David preach a lot about being in a flow state, you see them being able to tap into that. And a lot of the credit goes to Kevin for being able to do that. And the same goes with me. If we have an injury that's like season ending with surgery, I like to kind of stay in my lane of knowing what's for me to deal with and what's not. So a lot of the times we'll have them see a nutritionist after, talk about what they need to do to help their surgery recover, and then also seeing him as well to kind of talk about the disconnection that happens with surgery, because you stop going to practice, you can't do as much, you're kind of a little bit isolated from the team. So being able to have that resource has been huge to kind of help these guys not get checked out. I've noticed in the past we didn't have that resource. Some guys would just check out when they had surgery, and next thing you know, they're like, I'm not interested in wrestling anymore. They kind of got disconnected. They get into realizing other things in life, and then they don't have that drive anymore. So it's allowed us to kind of keep guys involved, motivated, be a part of the team, and stay positive in what's kind of a inopportune situation. It's really hard to beat yourself up, really easy to beat yourself up when you're injured and you have surgery, and being able to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel of getting back.
Yeah. Well, a couple of the guys that seem to really lean into the flow state message, or just go out and wrestle, the rest will kind of take care of itself, are the two guys who went on to win national championships, DJ Hamity and Wyatt Hendrickson. Both absolutely, you could see it in their matches. They just focused on getting the next takedown, scoring the next point, defending off the next shot, whatever. Like everything else just kind of rolled off, which is, if you watch Wyatt Hendrickson's career, and he mentioned it, was that he would go out there and he would get really hyped up and excited and go, put himself into bad situations sometimes, especially against better guys. And then with Hamity, he would get up big and then just kind of wear out and get beat. in other stages of his career. So both of them seem to lean into that message and do that. Speaking of those two, you were a real big part of the celebration on the mat with those two guys when they won championships, but also just when the other five guys went on to become All-Americans, or just throughout the season in big wins, big matches. You're just a constant presence in the quarter. You're into the matches, which isn't something that's necessarily always true with training staffs or with folks who are involved. They're just kind of a presence there. But you became a bit of an iconic part of these championships beyond just the moments themselves. Talk us through being on the mat there for that, kind of seeing this transition happen in real time as a big part of the team, but as somebody who isn't necessarily, like, you're not competing, right? As an athlete, you're not a coach. You're just a massive part of the team and there for it. I mean, like, kind of help us, help put us in that moment where you were and how you reacted, how all of us reacted, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's not, it's just kind of authentically me. I mean, it's just more of I see these guys, what they do every day. I'm in the wrestling room with them. I'm watching them train. I see the highs, I see the lows, I see them after a tough loss, I see them if they have an injury. And so I'm just kind of their big cheerleader of being able, like, in those two situations, I know with DJ not making there before and Wyatt's been there before and lost, being able to see them kind of overcome something. I mean, DJ having a rematch against Keegan O'Toole that you could argue, like, he was in the match and Keegan did what Keegan does and was able to get a takedown to win Big 12s, and then being able to see him overcome that. Especially kind of in that rubber match where now they kind of felt each other. They know what they're going to go after. And DJ was able to get in twice, first one getting called back, and then that second one to take him down. It's just more of, that's just authentically me, just excited being able to see those kids who worked their entire career to get there. This is their last season. That was their last collegiate match ever. And they get it ended on top. And then same with Wyatt, just knowing who he is, the confidence he had. Both of them had to wrestle national champs to get there. Being able to just see everything kind of come to fruition of we all believed he could do it. And then with Wyatt's match, you could kind of tell the momentum was swinging. I don't remember a lot after he got the takedown, but I do remember when Gable called for the challenge brick and Wyatt recognized, and so did Coach Taylor. I remember in the corner they said, he's gassed. And he really didn't wrestle anybody that long all season. So you could kind of you could tell in the arena, the energy was shifting. Everyone started kind of cheering for Wyatt. And I don't know if you could make a movie any more cinematic than that moment of everybody's cheering for him. Everyone wants the underdog to win the match. And he was able to get that takedown, secure it, and have the upset. But for me, that's just more of that's just who I am. And I've just never strayed away from it. I mean, some people think you need to be stoic and professional and keep a straight face, but I believe, like, I see what everything they do. That's what you're seeing is the effort I put into getting them ready to go. It's no different than Kale against Kai. I mean, he was injured for most of the season. We took time off to kind of try and give him an opportunity to get back if he could. Opportunity presented itself. He went out to wrestle in his first match back from rehabbing with me. He goes and pins a kid who was ranked 7th in the country that year. And it's just more of being able to see these kids who were completely debilitated, sometimes even in tears. I don't know how I'm going to get back from this. This is affecting me. I don't know how to get better. Getting to see them from rock bottom, getting to be on top it's why I do this job. So sometimes I definitely think I act like a fool a little bit and did get caught in that moment, but that's just who I am. I'm excited for them. I want them to succeed. I'm going to cheer for them, and I'm always going to be excited when they have something. David even brought up during DJ's match against Levi Haynes when he hit that ankle pick. He could hear me in the background, like, cheering because I thought it was a sweet move and it caught me off guard. We got it, and David was like, I think sometimes you're into the matches more than I am, just because I see it happen. I'm like, that's sweet. Let's go. That was awesome.
Yeah.
and just being able to just watch them do their thing. It's definitely something I enjoy a lot of. Being able to just basically be right there in the corner as close as you can, getting to watch them do what they love to do. They're all here because they love wrestling. They've grown up with it, and being able to watch them all get to achieve their dreams is very cool to see. And that I get to play. I don't think I play a huge part, but a small part in being able to get them there, just with keeping them healthy, keeping them available so they can do that.
Well, I mean, I'd say that availability is the best ability, right? So you're
Yeah,
to cap a little cliche on there. I think that's probably makes you a pretty huge part of it. But I think that it is good to have some animation in the corner, right? Like, especially with the philosophy of the new staff, they're a bit less so. They watch and observe, and they pipe up when they need to pipe up, but that you have, and that was a big change with the team too. I mean, you notice guys on the bench doing a lot more cheering this season. You noticed a bit more animation. I guess some of the personalities that were injected into the room added to that. Wyatt Hendrickson being one of them, being who he is, just the person. We've been fortunate to have him on a couple times and get to know him, but he's just a big, goofy puppy dog at this rate.
yeah,
Like that's the best way I can describe him. So he probably plays a big part in like the team, but having you there is this like, oh, it's okay to be excited and to be, so I think that's a really great, I guess, presence to have there. Is, you're invested and you want these guys to succeed, and you are excited, just as excited as any fan or coach or anybody. So I think
yeah.
that's and you get the best seat in the house for it. So
I do. I
that's
definitely
going to be
do.
really exciting. What are some of the things that you see? And we're in the heat of freestyle season right now, right? We got U20s, U23s coming up this weekend. You're helping prepare the guys for those tournaments. Then throughout the summer, there's a couple more things that are going to be coming up before getting into October, November well, October is training camp, right? So, but at the same time, you've got a bunch of new people coming in. They got whatever 14 new guys into the room for this season. You've got the guys returning. You've got the guys recovering. What are some of the things you're doing to just kind of maintain this momentum that the program feels from the way that you can? I mean, I'm not expecting you to like build culture or anything like that, but
Yeah.
from just a athletic training, health, like recovery, resources perspective, how are you helping to kind of rocket ship that momentum?
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much right now, our entire team's here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's been something, and that's not been, it's optional. David's told him it's optional. That's just, I think, shows kind of the momentum we're building and how excited everybody is. I mean, I think we've all rode what happened at nationals and said we can ride off this and be better. And so everybody's here training, whether they're competing or not. They're trying to get better at wrestling, and so that positivity, I think, is just overtaken everything. So I mean, I'm available before and after practice if they got something going on. I take care of it. Same with the freestyle guys, and the RTC guys, and it's just more about just building a positivity. So even if there's it hasn't really been talked about, because I think everybody's just trying to build a good team culture right now. But as we kind of get closer to getting towards when we have lineup conversations and guys going to be competing for a spot, it's just, I think, just always promoting a positivity of getting everybody ready to go, letting everyone have their best chance, and just remembering at the end of the day we're a team and that we're all have the same goal. Whether you do make the spot or not, and you're going to have an opportunity. I mean, this is going to be a team that you're competing to make the spot and wear the orange singlet every week, and that's going to come with time. It's just promoting this just team chemistry of just positivity. We're having fun. That's kind of another philosophy David tries to remind the guys is you're doing this for fun. It's not a job. It shouldn't feel like a job. Like, this is something you're doing for fun. And if you have that mindset, you're going to enjoy wrestling a lot, even if you have a bad match here and there. Reminding yourself that this is something you've done your entire life since you were little and you enjoy it. So I just try and translate that into the training room as well. I'm just reminding them this is all fun and just trying to make it a very happy atmosphere.
Yeah, that is the truth. These are kids, and it is supposed to be fun. I think people forget that so much in this NIL, hyper competitive, hyper visible environment. People just want it to be. They want them to be robots. And end of the day, these are 19 or 18 to 24-year-old young men that are just trying to navigate their life with this thing that they're really good at stacked on top of it, right? So in the pressure, like nobody's going to put more pressure on them than they will. It's just kind of true for all of us. But it's how do you make it fun, and how do you take that pressure and make diamonds, I guess. And I think
Yeah.
it does take a team. It takes you. It takes the counselor that you mentioned. It takes the athletic, or the academic staff. It takes everybody to kind of just hammer that message in. So it's really good to hear that that's been um, the operational philosophy for uh, David Taylor and company, right? I think that that's a
Yeah.
refreshing message in this time where, like I mentioned, you just have all these kind of crazy folks globbing onto success of other people, right?
Yeah.
So for a young athlete, maybe a wrestler in Oklahoma, or we're at Texas, Colorado, Maine, Hawaii, it doesn't matter. Um, if they're listening to this, what advice would you give them to get into a situation like yours? They love the sport. They may not be the good enough, right? They might go wrestle D3 or whatever. But they want to get into athletic training. What would your advice for them be?
I think kind of the first thing is just figure out understanding what you're getting yourself into. It's not an easy profession. It's long hours. And so understanding like I'm here before the team shows up, I'm here afterwards, I'm here until the last person gets treated. And that's kind of, you don't have structured hours. You're not going to get a lot of holidays off, especially the winter sport. You might get Thanksgiving Day off, and you might get a couple of days for Christmas, but you're not going to be able to do those things that a lot of people are used to. And there's going to be certain holidays that you are working, that a lot of people have off, or you might not have school, but you're going to be told, hey, we got practice at this time. So understanding kind of the demand with it. But I think even if it's not athletic training, just finding something that you're passionate about, whether it's journalism, or like if now with social media, that's a big thing. There's plenty of opportunities on a support staff role, strength and conditioning. If you're big into the weight room and lifting and muscle development, that's another place that you could definitely get tied into wrestling, as well. Or if it's journalism, social media, nutrition, counseling. There's so many different things that are being added onto from a support level staff that you can look into. And I think it's just finding something that you're passionate about that's outside of the sport of wrestling itself, and then being able to find a way to tie that back into the sport is what I would be my advice. So doesn't have to necessarily be athletic training. Some people think that's what they want to do, and then they realize kind of the program and getting into that curriculum is very rigorous and very demanding. And then on top of that, knowing what your expectations are afterwards, there is a lot of expected of you, and you sometimes aren't going to get a lot of free time, and sometimes you're not going to have a great work-life balance. So you might be spending more time with the team than you are at home with your family or doing things, you might get a vacation once a year, but you're spending most of your time getting these athletes better. So I think understanding that, and if not, maybe looking other ways, whether it's journalism and getting into like social media or doing some film or doing some of like the creative content stuff there, nutrition, counseling. There's plenty of ways that you can give back to the sport, and
Yeah,
it's forever evolving.
that's the truth. Wrestling does need more real journalists, less people like me on here. Just throwing up hobby podcasts, but got to fill a hole too. Like somebody's got to do it. So I'm glad that I'm glad you said that. That's an interesting um, way to think about it. It's like, okay, yeah, you're passionate about this, but like there are lots of ways to be involved that
Yeah.
you can exhibit your passion that might be better than working 120-hour weeks and
Yeah.
not getting paid that reflects that, right? I used to tell Dr. Finch's class, I used to come back and speak when I was working for the Chiefs and Stars. I used to come back and speak to the class and I would say the same thing. I would say, hey, who wants to get into sports because they want to be a general manager? And they would all raise their hands. And I'd be like, okay, whose dad owns the team? Right? Or like, are you going to go get a master's in statistics from Yale or Princeton or something after this? No. So, okay, you're not going to be a general manager. You're going to be a sales rep and you're going to hate your life for, so good luck.
There is, everything's got, there's always consequence to everything you do. And so that's kind of it might look great on the outside. You might see me as the guy that's cheered on the mat, getting to be close by, but there's a lot of hardworking hours that are behind the scenes.
Definitely.
And that's kind of the nitty gritty stuff is what people don't realize until you get into it and you're like, okay, this is tough. This isn't easy, but I have a passion for it. And I always believe the saying of, if you really enjoy your job, you never work a day in your life. And I don't. I enjoy everything I do. I don't feel like I'm coming to work. I feel like I'm coming to do what I love. And so if you can find whatever that is and it connects with wrestling, I say go for it.
I love that, Nick. That's good. That's good insight for sure. And yeah, they don't just give you that seat because you're passionate, right? Like you got to do the work. So that's awesome stuff. One last thing, and then we'll let you get out of here. What's one thing you're most excited about for this upcoming Cowboys wrestling season?
Just as I kind of keep talking about, you can tell there's a positive energy to the room. Just with everything we're doing now, it's just continue to build off what we're doing at Nationals. So I'm just excited to see. I think our team, we have a lot of very talented people. I think this is one of the first years that I don't think you can name the starting lineup. So I'm really excited to get to see these guys compete, wrestle, who's going to get the spot, who's going to maintain the spot, and just knowing even if somebody gets hurt, we got a guy that's going to get the job done if they miss a match. We're going to still be successful. So I'm really excited just to see we have some competition this year that I think is very good in a positive way that's going to really take our team and be able to get us to keep climbing towards catching Penn State. So I'm really excited to see what we do, building off what we did last year, having more guys. I feel like we have more ammo in the artillery. I can't say the right word, but
more ammo in the belt. You can call it that.
Yeah, more ammo in the belt. To go after that goal of getting a national title. So I'm excited to see. There's definitely a lot of magic in the room, is what I would say.
Got to leave it on that. Nick, thank you so much for coming on again. Really appreciate you as always. I love your insight and the energy that you bring to the program and to just the entire atmosphere around Cowboy wrestling. So thank you so much and keep up the great work. I appreciate it. Thanks, Lee.